president. A president is best starting in your household. There is a policeman, there is a teacher within a household, there is all these different types, including yourself. Before you came here, you are coming from a household, and that is governance itself, isn't that so? So let's go back to unity as males and females, and rise up together. Thank you. Was it you? Yeah.
So if I was president for one day, I think like on my first day of office, I'll make sure that I'll create a law to actually tax the wealthy. Make sure there's a 60 to 75% wealth tax that would actually be used to to sort out the issues of inequality. So that money is actually used in creating an equilibrial society.
Amazing, amazing. So thank you so much. Oh, okay. I'll take it. Okay. Are you sure, sir?
But if everything's okay, we can carry on. But if I would be president, I'd strengthen African trade and I'd let the youth be innovative and less reliable on foreign. Yeah.
Power to you and power to you all. Thank you so much for your cooperation. And yeah, no, I think Africa is in good hands. No doubt about that. Miss, back to you, and the floor is yours. Thank you so much. There we go.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? All right. Good afternoon to the distinguished guests, our panelists, and most importantly, the young and energetic people in the room. Good afternoon. I'll ask the panelists to briefly introduce themselves quickly. I'll start with Wane.
Thank you. In the spirit of bridging the gap, Dumelang Bagaitso, Kibitsalaka Ki Wane Andrews, and I am bridging the gap as we are, talking in this specific point, and I will be representing the Democratic Alliance Students Organization in today's panel, and I'll obviously be allowing my expertise to be on the higher education space and everything that consists in that spectrum. Thank you.
Testing. Hi, everyone. Am I audible?
Not really, but
Hi, can you hear me now? Hello, young people. You guys are not as energetic as I think young people would be. I can't hear you. How's everyone doing? We good? Okay. I'd like to greet everyone and just cover everyone through all protocols observed because they are very important people here, so I don't want to miss anyone. My name is Utando Lukele. I tend to forget how to introduce myself because of the many hats I occupy, but I'm the Deputy President of the South African Youth Business Chamber, and I'm a young person. I think I look young. Yeah, so I'm a young person, and we're just here to have today's conversation. I'd like to just highlight that I only found out that we are having this conversation during lunch. So if it happens that I talk for too long, I talk too much. I know myself, as you can see now. So just watch. And tell me that, hey, my sister, you're going on, because I know I can go on and on and on. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me? Very audible. Okay, can you hear me now? Sorry about that. My name is Labakhan Kipatisa, and I am originally from Klerksdorp in the Northwest. I am the Secretary General for a newly appointed party called KYP, which stands for Know Your Power. I am here right in front of the youth to tell you guys that we are a party based by the youth, for the youth, and we want to take our country forward. Thank you.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? All right. My name is Tenji Wendemande, and I work in curriculum design that is aimed at cultivating or rather influencing an entrepreneurial mindset for young people, particularly in the high school ages. Thank you.
Thank you to our panelists for introducing themselves. And I am Asanda Koyo. I am a member of the Independent Continental Youth Advisory Committee, Ikoyaka, South Africa. Earlier today, Dr. Dlamini Zuma mentioned that economies today require a skills revolution in order to move forward. And I think she also said this revolution has to be centered around African interests. And her remarks really fit in well in this session that we'll be engaging on today. The session, we will be reflecting on the most important question in shaping Africa's future, which is how do we bridge the gap, the skills gap, and ensure that we prepare a new workforce that is capable to drive innovation, inclusive growth, and sustainable development. Before we start and engage the panelists, I want to quickly pose a question to the audience. And maybe just ask one person to tell us their understanding of what a TVET college is and why our TVET college is undervalued. Briefly, someone from the audience. So asking if someone from the audience could briefly share their understanding of a TVET college and why they are currently undervalued, but please be brief.
Question is, what is TVET college and why is it undervalued? Why do you want to go to university and not to a college? That's basically the question.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. What's a TVET college? I think, in my own understanding, is that TVET college is basically those schools that give out information or the knowledge in terms of educate, in terms of like hands, like your where you learn, how to build, how to plumb, like plumbers and stuff like that. However, the reason why you don't find much value there is because of people can always just learn like on their own. Like you can just learn to build on your own and stuff like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a professionalized career as per perception at the moment. So I think that's why maybe it's not valued as much because if ever like somebody with 5 years experience, they've been working and they've been bricklaying. So why must I hire you to go and like after you get like a qualification for bricklaying as well? And then there is another reason is that there's a perception in South Africa about academics. If you didn't go to vets, then you're second grade. Like the difference between an academic institution and like your TVETs, like you need to have like your A's to get into like a traditional university, whereas in TVET colleges you can just wake up in the morning and say, okay, ha ke pass ko sekolong, so ere ke patadise for like ke tlhakantshe ke bone gore ke tla tswa jwang. I hope it makes sense, but yeah, that's the reason why there's not much value in it. Thank you. Dumeleng.
Thank you, Itumeleng. That helped to set the tone for this session. um, in the interest of time, I think I'll just take one person. And then we'll come back during the Q&A, and then we'll engage the other colleagues as well. All right. Okay. Oh, I think I lost mine. Thank you. I think I'll just move on to the panel now. I'll start with Wana, who's right next to me. Wane.
Thank you.
One of the colleagues did briefly engage in terms of why the TVET colleges are currently undervalued. And I just wanted to check with you on your perspective in terms of what systems are urgently needed to strengthen TVET colleges in order for them to produce the graduates that we need for the current skill sets needed within the labor market as well as the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Thank you.
No, thank you, moderator. That's quite an intricate question, because the multifaceted approach that it comes down to when we consider TVET colleges, essentially, there's a plethora of issues in our TVET systems in this country. And for me to be able to narrow it down, I believe that we need to focus on our public-private partnerships, one, two, our infrastructure development, and three, our resource allocations to TVET colleges. I think if we can focus on those three things in South Africa, and I won't get political about it, but those advancements have already been made under the new administration. But in time, as we continue to move in that line, we will then continue to see that advancement play forward. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Wane. I'll move on to Tando. Wane touched on the importance of partnerships. With Tando, I'd like to ask you, how can international partnerships be leveraged to advance the skills gap development?
The first starter of it would be a benchmark, right? Looking at colleges in international partners, you look at why is MIT so great when our CPUT, our MUT is at a lesser level, and why our TVET college at a worse level than a great MIT. So what services, what educational quality does MIT offer to these students that is relatively so different from CPUT, that is relatively so different from a TVET college, right? One, when you look at leveraging in the international partnerships, you recognize that education is fluid. So you recognize that what was taught 50 years ago won't work now. And that's the starting point in our TVET college or TVET college systems, right? So in continuous partnership or continuous engagements, we would create a skill set that does not speak to South Africa now, but speaks to South Africa now, South Africa future, but also South Africa in international spaces, right? So what quality sets do we give students or learners who go to TVET colleges that should equip them enough to be someone who can work in China, to be someone who can work in Nigeria? How can they adapt? What kind of skills does Nigeria, does China, does Congo need that we can produce in South Africa, right? So leveraging that would mean we are leveraging the curriculum reform, we are leveraging what is required, we are leveraging money as well, right? We're leveraging resources. We are able to tap into things we are not currently good at, like technical advances in China that they are extremely good at. So you leverage that. You are able to access those spaces. Why are they so great? And what are they teaching their students that equips them enough to come up with these innovative ideas? So I think leveraging international partnerships is understanding that there's so much to learn from international partners, and that should be the starting point before we go into the financials, before we go into the resources, before we go into partnerships generally for labor and the labor market access. But generally, there's just a lot to learn, and that should be enough in creating that space for trying to leverage international partners.
Insightful. Thank you so much, Tando. Moving on to Lebohang.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Speak into the mic. All right. Thank you. Sorry for that. Lebohang, with you, I'd like to hear your thoughts on how do we ensure that youth and young women, people also living with disabilities, as well as youth that are currently not in school, youth that have dropped out in high school, youth that have not been able to get into TVET colleges as well as universities. How do we ensure that these people are not left behind in the skills development and work force participation? Preparation, sorry.
That's a very good question. Um, Let me first start by saying that I am a product of a college, right? Um, I am, however, from a college called Northwest School of Design, which is a design school that is, when I studied, I don't know right now, but it was one of the best within the country. And it had international qualifications, and it was the only one that had international qualifications. And that's the reason behind that was that the person who owns it had a passion to actually give something that was different, right? This college actually gave out Johann Kutia and Nel Butter. These are extraordinary designers within our country, right? But the type of structure that was implemented within the curriculum was quite different. And it was not, I wouldn't say robust, but it was not a structure that everybody is going for, right? It's first the mindset and the passion. I would say passion goes further, but it's first the mindset of what you want to see out of people. It cannot just be about yourself. It's about what country you want to build. Those disabled people, what it is exactly that you want their lives to come out of. There is no way that you can just be looking at just able people the whole time, right? Even the disabled people, even with our youth is much, much more educated than we were back then. And you don't want to know how old I am. But you guys have a mindset that is far beyond where we were, right? The only thing that you guys lack is actually the need to actually step out of your comfort zone and go forward, to be very honest. If we gave them the same opportunity, the disabled, if we gave them the same opportunity, where else can we actually go forward as the country? Thank you.
Thank you, Lebohang. Sorry, Tando. Is it? Oh, sorry. You mentioned the importance of stepping out of your comfort zone. Moving on into Tenjiwe, I am going to ask you to please share with us what are the foundational leadership and personal development competences do young people need to thrive in this rapid shifting world? We see rapid changes. There's digital transformation happening. There's green economy requirements we need to align to. There's automation rising as well. So how do young people also prepare for that? What would be the foundational leadership and personal development skills and competencies they need to thrive within this changing world?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Working in curriculum design for youth development programs has taught me that we are constantly saying we're preparing the youth for the future or preparing our future leaders to lead. But I think at the same time, we're realizing that we're preparing them to lead in a future that none of us have existed in. So it's not like any of us traveled to the future and said, hey, here's 1, 2, 3 that you're gonna need. And then we came back, to give that. So then that has taught me that what we really can teach, honestly, is adaptability and adaptive thinking. because the world is changing, and the people that are going to survive in the changing world are people that can adapt and can thrive in changing environments. I think also a less popular opinion is probably founded in the roots of our education systems. If we have the ability or the capacity to teach adaptive thinking or adaptability, but I think if the question is about what personal development skills do young people need, I think adaptability is probably more important. We need to be able to think in changing environments. We need to be able to think about solutions in an environment that is absolutely not constant. So I think that's how we manage to move from one generation to another, from one industrial revolution to another revolution, is because we're able to think and adapt to the moving and changing world. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you so much, Tenjiwe. And now I don't want to be the only person asking questions here today. I want to make the session as engaging as possible with young voices. So I'm going to open the floor to the audience to ask questions. Please briefly introduce yourself and direct your question to the panel member. I'll start.
Good afternoon. Thank you once again. She said something about adaptive thinking and how like teaching the adaptive thinking and then change is inevitable, right? And being solution minded. There's a lady who came here yesterday. She also spoke something along those lines. She had 3 pillars and she was talking about systems thinking and everything like that. However, so I wanted to find out how is, the NPOs. I mean, we spent 2 hours yesterday here discussing NPOs. Um, how is that adaptive thinking and how is that futuristic? Do we actually really see a future in NPOs as Africans? Okay, that's my number one question to the House. Number two, how can we leverage on systems thinking in terms as a tool to resolving issues? Because we see that there's a lot of policy, every government department have its own policies and all the policies are in silos, where else we're not using tools like machine learning and artificial intelligence to integrate all of the systems, all of these policies to kind of come up with a solution. For instance, the gentleman at the back there was talking about we are busy building infrastructure in terms of telecommunications, but no one is saying anything about the energy requirements thereof. Like I'm also re-emphasizing what he's saying because you can build a telecommunications system that is able to kind of help people, but if it's not having energy to power it up, then what's the point, right? And then somebody spoke something about voting for a young president. I still don't think that's an answer to the problems that we currently have. I think one thing that I'm trying to highlight here is to show the House that we have a wicked problem here. All of these problems are interconnected. Whether it is Starlink, what's Starlink? It's not a solution on its own because in as much as it is right now, somebody will say, no, people are not going to vote. But then what's the reason people are not voting? Why are young people not voting? That's the main question here, to say that, yes, young people are not voting. Why are they not voting? Should they have been voting and they voted for a young person? Do we think that's a solution? That's still not a solution. So how do we use tools? Yes, I'm getting there. Yeah. So how do we use tools like systems thinking to kind of take all of this? Because I believe it's a wicked problem. As a house, how do we come up together and then use tools like systems thinking to kind of realize a solution that is optimal, not necessarily like a direct solution, but an optimal solution towards the wicked problem that we are currently having at this point? Thank you.
Get two here, and then I'll go that side. Okay, we are trying to manage the time as well. Okay, let me get to you.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, hi guys. So I'm first gonna answer the question that was asked in the beginning because I was kind of afraid to answer because no one was answering the question. But my name is Imani, firstly. I'm 15, so I'm heading into grade 11 next year. Thank you. I would say that the TVET colleges being looked down on necessarily, it stems from kind of a very young age when parents tell you, okay, you need to get good grades so you can go and be something in your life, right? And as a society, we usually look down on blue collar workers and you know, jobs that people do that are necessary for society to function, right? So I would firstly, this is a statement, then I'm gonna ask a question. I would say that uh, one thing to, because as South Africa, we have a problem with a lack of jobs and unemployment and stuff. I would say that first things that we need to do is to change the mindset on how we look at TVET colleges and service-based industries as a whole, because that's how we would create jobs for people who didn't finish high school or people who aren't necessarily employable, if you get what I'm saying. Now, my question is to anyone in the panel, how would you, because I'm in high school, how would you shift the way that students view service? Yeah.
Sanibona, Samukelo lo. I have a simple question because I didn't hear the panels speak on this. So I'm a VIT student. I'm studying urban planning. One challenge I experienced throughout studying is that constantly when we're given assignments, we're told not to use AI, but we are told to use AI ethically, you know, but no one trains us how to use AI ethically. And I feel like in order for us to survive and compete effectively in the job markets and in the business markets, we have to be efficient with our use of AI. So my question is, what are you guys doing to ensure that AI is integrated in the plans of the future of education? You know, thank you.
So I will go on the other side. Thank you. Okay, so let me get at the back.
All right, before we start with this side, I'd let the panel firstly answer the three questions that were posed this side, and then we'll go through this side.
Is anyone, you going? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm going to answer Amani, is it Iman. Okay, I'm gonna try my best to answer your question. I think the most important thing, and someone mentioned it earlier, it is actually revolutionizing the education system, right? Then we then need to align, the education system to what actually is mandatory for the economy. I think once we've come to understand that connection, that the one education system coincides with the other, and that what is produced in the one sector of education finds itself manifest in the other, so that a grade 11 can think differently about how they're going to actually contribute better to the economy instead of going to one of our 26 top institutions in the country and going to Goldfields TVET College in the Free State and becoming something that no one has ever heard of, someone who advances in agriculture for that matter. It's allowing what's taught in high school to subsequently merge itself into the TVET sector. And then also looking at how these different institutions market themselves. Because what we've seen is that I'm going to make an analogy. Wits calls UJ the high school down the road, right? Either which way, right? There's that cross reference, you know? And so the way those intricate marketing mechanisms, find itself correlate in society is how we have a different perspective of how we see it. So now instead of going to UJ, which offers a better tailor-made course to what you'd like to study, you now want to come, to Wits and live on the edge. Do you get what I'm saying? Instead of going to the University of the Free State where I study, you would find better and a better alternate, study plan or package for yourself at CUT down the road. But because only a Kofsi knows the feeling, you find yourself, moving in that light. So the way we bridge that is the way institutions advance themselves to, young people in this country. I go to the University of the Free State solely because the theology faculty is one of the best in the country, and I wouldn't have went there if they were not the best. And so allowing, TVET colleges essentially to say that, what, I'm going to try and be very diplomatic, but to hell with what Wit says about the agriculture, um, sector. Essentially, I'm going to go to TVET, to the TVET college at Goldfield at the in Free State, and find myself, in active learning, where they'll teach me more practical, aspects about my cause than actually, more theoretical stuff. I hope I covered you. Thank you.
Um, it's just a smaller Yana piggyback because you said something that's very important, and it was just reminding me of the fact that we also generally, and it's something I realized late into my studies in university. Okay, I'm still studying that that generally people don't understand the difference between skill set training and academia, right? And that is not a thought process that is introduced early on set into our high school, into our primary schools. So a lot of people think I go to university to generally become a worker, whereas universities give you more theoretical background to go into academia, right? So if we change that train of thought from primary, from high school, then we have a better understanding that if I want to work in agriculture, it is more sensible for me to go to a TVET or to go to a college or to go to a university of technology than to go to a university, because I won't get the skill sets that prepare me for becoming an agricultural worker. I will just get the theoretical concept. And it's something I was having a debate about with some of the students who are studying. We were just talking about it while preparing for our exams. Who study computer science, and I was engaging them as to what would be the technical difference between computer science, ICT, IT, and why you generally, some of you guys will end up in the same space. All of you become software engineers. Why do you think it's different? And a lot of those students were telling me that a study of computer science is just the understanding of systems. A better person who wants to be a coder, who wants to create websites, is better often in studying IT or in the IT route than studying computer sciences. So if that concept of chain of thought was introduced in schools, then we also then have a better understanding that we don't have to influx or push the idea that kids have to go to university, because then again we have the understanding that kids are not the same. Not everyone wants to go into academia. Rather than us saying not everyone is passing, rather than benchmarking universities as a space for smart people, let us benchmark everything as a space for smart people, and where you land up is dependent on your greater skill set. But also then it would say, as he's saying, let us introduce more skill sets, especially at grassroots level. I mean, when I went to university, I already understood my field, mainly because at high school level, I used to do IT. And it got me into that space where I knew what I like by the time I went into university. And I was most likely to know I want to land up in this type of field based on the things I was studying in high school. I know a friend who's at MUT because she knew that she wants to go into engineering, and the best set of engineering would be in a university of technology than in a university, because she was doing mechanical engineering in high school, in the high school we went to. So that type of skill set up, it introduces the concept that, hey, you don't have to do physics and maths. You don't have to, because this is where, this is the trajectory. And then we therefore introduce the concept of subjects basically in high school, basically in primary, as a concept more about what you like, where you want to be, rather than a concept of general hierarchy and who's smarter than who. So I think it has a lot to do with the structure of the curriculum. It has a lot to do with what we teach kids from primary school level. If at primary school level we teach kids basic maths, basic computers, basic whatnot, and by the time they trajectory into high school, we allow them to move into the skill sets they are more preferable on. If they want to go into agriculture, let the kids do agriculture. Then we will have a shift in how we view general blue collar workers, because we understand that you're doing plumbing because you want to do plumbing, rather than the concept of you're doing plumbing because, hey, impili kushayile and you landed up there. You get me? So I think it, how we introduce these things is very important. And if they're introduced early on set as a career, or rather as a hobby, then the concept of career is just making money out of your hobby, rather than it being something you have to do because of however level of smarts you have. But I wanted to hop into the question of how we integrate IT, or rather AI, into our learning. Um, I just recently finished my term as the president of SRC at UCT. And when UCT introduced the concept of stopping um, Turnitin, right? It was because we were having a debate with them, and we were introducing the concept that AI is something we can't run away from. You can't detect it. You can't, even if you think you can, there's no accurate way of detecting what is actually written by AI and what is not, especially if I can write my entire paper and ask AI to cross reference and make sure the grammar is okay, rather than a next person who uses AI to write the entire paper. How do you detect the difference? And they can't. So then the question was, how do we introduce the concepts? Because we know we can't run away from AI, how do we introduce the concepts properly into our education? And this started in the School of Economics. And what they did in my second year, we wrote a paper, and this was an essay. This was a school essay, and they gave us an entire ChatGPT written essay, and they were saying we must criticize ChatGPT. Where is the economical errors of ChatGPT in the current state of South Africa? And that is introducing the concept of how we integrate AI into our learning, because we won't run away from it. So they will give you a paper. It happens also in the School of Law. Ooh, sorry, yes, let me cut short. So it happens, we do it again in the School of Law, where they will give you a paper, and in that paper, you criticize AI, you identify the errors. Where is it legally incorrect? Where is it economically incorrect? What is AI saying that is correct? Why is AI? And that would help people know how to use AI correctly. But also, I just think generally, everyone should do an AI course. I think at some point it must be either introduced early onset into our high schools, especially, but then it needs to start with basic computer skills in primary. So I think it has a lot to do with how our curriculum is structured. They need to teach kids how to use computers, because we are going into a digital space. In high school, early high school, we need to learn how to do AI. We need to learn basic Microsoft. We need to learn how to type. We need to learn how to do Excel. And that way it better positions people to know how to use AI, right? So then everyone needs to do AI learning, but not just because it is integral in the work we're going to be doing, but because also we then know how to respond to AI generated material. We know how to identify AI generated material. We know how to relate to it as well. We know how to make sure that AI works for us. If you have a business, you want to do a poster on graphic design, you don't have to pay a graphic designer. You can go to ChatGPT and they'll give you a beautiful poster, right? Maybe we want to keep our graphic designers, but maybe if you want to use ChatGPT because you don't have money, that's okay. So it's it's how we introduce it, but I just think it needs to be integrated in that way. It needs to be part of the curriculum. We need to be comfortable with it. And that means all our lecturers, all our professors must first take the course so that they know how to integrate it in our current existing systems, to know how to test students better, integrating AI instead of completely rejecting it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so can we, moderator, moderator, I'm here. Are you looking for me? I'm here. So for the sake of time, can we just take the last two questions and then you answer those questions and then we can close on this one because we have one last panel to finish up with. Okay? Good. Just two more.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kutlwano Malahlela from the great University of Johannesburg. And my question relates to access to higher education. We know that our access to education in South Africa is mostly described by inequality and inaccess. And at UJ only, on annual basis, we receive over 600,000 applications only for 10,000 spots. So my question is, how do we use TVET colleges to reimagine access, to bridge the access to higher education, and not just as a second option, but TVET colleges that provide world-class qualifications that their graduates can go compete with students who are from comprehensive universities or what is referred to as traditional universities.
Okay, so one last. If there's any more questions, please, you can catch the speakers outside. It will be really good.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Saeed Mohammed. I am in the space of building young people through practical entrepreneurship. My question is to the last speaker. I'm sorry, I missed your name. How do we use entrepreneurship and maybe link it, in the skills development, and how do we, for example, introduce this concept of commercializing your careers? So when the young people graduates, instead of looking for a job, how do we create this entrepreneurial mindset that they become job creators themselves? The power of entrepreneurship. And I am sharing all the young people in this hall. The only thing, and I'm saying in a very bold way, the only thing that we can break Buffett at this age is through business. You can't look and they give you a job, but you are empowering and you are enriching the company and whoever you are working for. But when you think of entrepreneurship, that is really a space that we all need to think. So entrepreneurship, we need to sleep with it, wake up with it, sing and think all the way. Entrepreneurship is the way forward. Thank you.
Okay, back to you, moderator.
I'll allow Tenjue and Lebohang to answer those two questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question of how do we teach entrepreneurial mindset. And if you don't mind, I'm going to attempt to address the question not as in probably our age group right now, with the diversity of it as it is, but from a very, very young age, because I generally hold this belief that we as leaders, we are planting trees whose shades are going to be enjoyed by other generations and not ours. And in an attempt to provide some form of sustainability in the providing of solutions, I think when we look at our when we look at our basic education curricula in our schools, I am a strong advocate for project-based learning. I think that's one way that we can teach an entrepreneurial mindset to students, because when we think about what an entrepreneur is, it's not necessarily about someone who starts a business. An entrepreneur is someone who identifies a gap in society and takes action to closing that gap. So someone who looks at opportunities and then creates opportunities. If those solutions that they're bringing or those opportunities end up giving monetary value to their lives, awesome. We love money, that's great for them. But I think the mindset is, are you someone who's constantly creating opportunity? And so I think if we're challenging systems for the purposes of sustainability and making actual real change, then we need to think about things like project-based learning in our curriculums. I know the South African education system recently introduced the GEC in our grade 8 and 9 curriculum, I think, which is meant to help students do a lot more projects and learn a lot more skills, again, and the topic of bridging the gap. So that's also something that is meant to help aid in that. But yes, I think entrepreneurial mindset lies very much in project-based learning approaches in schools. Hopefully that answers the question.
I don't know. Why are we here actually? To be very honest. We sit here, no, I'm not saying it in a bad way, right? But we sit here and we allow them to ask us questions. And then what? What's gonna happen after here? Yes, let's ask let's generally ask, let's honestly, please, well, then what? What happens after this? Yes, I don't have a mic, sorry.
I think for me, I'm loud enough. I think for me, it's the change in perspective, coming in here, and then living differently in terms of how my worldview had been before and how I live. However, I still feel like the questions that should be asked here are not necessarily asked. I think there are more pressing matters that we should have been addressing at this level. And I feel like we didn't really get to the crux of those questions. Like, for instance, talent management in South Africa or in Africa. We see a lot of our young professionals leaving the continent. A lot of our young professionals are leaving the country, and none of those things have been addressed, right? They go to Europe and they look for better opportunities. We're not asking ourselves, why are we losing that talent? Yet we want to build our economy. So for me, and then there's also a lot of presentations that really had nothing to do with economic emancipation of the youth. So I feel like in a way, in between somewhere, somehow, we lost the plot. Even in terms of the NPOs, no offense to the NPO people, I don't see how an NPO can build an economy of a country. Thank you.
Can I just say something? Sorry. I
Just a
think I
minute.
just thought
Okay,
I
so thank you very much, everybody. I think it's important to also keep the ruling of the house. There are processes and protocols which we are all following. Are we together? Okay, so in as much that we all want to express ourselves, it's very crucial to keep on the line of what we came here for. Okay, let's get back to every question you ask. Please make sure it is directed to the panels and it's directed to the topic which we are discussing. If you have anything that is outside or a concern, please, if you want to punch someone in the face, let's do it outside. Okay? We have to keep the ruling in the house so that we can be able to finish here on time. Are we together? Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Lebohang, do you want to come back in?
Yeah, I think I just thought I fight, but it's fine. My point exactly about this was somebody mentioned how we change people's perspective on TVET, right? I think it starts at home first because we have such a negative influence from our parents first about what those type of education actually is, right? I remember with me when I went to go study, because I studied fashion communication and buying, and ended up my first job actually being in polo distribution in South Africa and being part of the planning and design team. right? But before I even got to even getting that job, the first set of things before leaving the college was to actually build skill sets, right? From there, I had to learn to do my own fashion show according to my portfolio that I am doing. I learned my skill sets before I even left and got to the job. When I got to the job, I had already been qualified in everything that I am doing. The structure of our TVETs, right, needs to change. And it's not just about the TVETs, it's also the universities. We cannot be rotating the same type of education that happened in 1994 and we're still doing it right now. That's when we say youth, and we say, and I ask, what are we doing while we are here, when we're leaving here? What are we actually aiming at doing? Is it not to hear your opinions and to hear what you guys have to say and actually do something about it, which is the most important thing? Is we have these panels of discussions that we come about, and then why don't we open up a WhatsApp group or anything and actually discuss and say, hey, this is what we discussed, let's move forward on this topic. Let there be actual movements that we are actually seeing. From this first summit that we're doing, let's have a way forward on the next summit that, hey, you know what, we accomplished these 10 things that we're doing. Can we have that? Let this not just be, they say you get married and it's fun at a wedding and then the real marriage is afterwards. Let's really do that. Let's be in this marriage and actually build our country and actually hear what you guys have to say and actually find solutions that we need. Is that fine? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lebohang. Thank you, everyone. It's been a really robust engagement. As I'm closing, I'd like to also highlight that from this session, what I was able to come up with is that the issue around the skills gap is not a youth issue. We're not lazy to look for opportunities. We're not lazy to learn, but it's a systemic issue. And it's an issue that requires everyone from the education system, from industry, from policymakers, from youth-led initiatives to work together to address these issues. And all of us in this room, we sit in different platforms that are very crucial in helping to address these issues. And I believe from the engagements and the questions that we had posed today, as well as the engagements we'll have afterwards, we'll be able to take those insights and take action in the various platforms that we hold. Thank you, colleagues.
Can we just have a picture with the panelists, please? Do we have anyone take just a quick picture? Just a quick picture with the panelists as we are about to let them go. So now we have one last panel, which I would like us to have in a very short time. Thank you very much to all of you for being here since morning until this time. That is why we are young. We're still strong. Okay. We just have one more panel, which is also very crucial for us, and it's very short. Okay. Trust me, it's going to be very short. And this panel, I will be calling right now on this panel our moderator, who is going to be Boipilo Letlape. That's going to be moderating this panel. And we're going to be calling Ofente Tane. If she's here, you may join us in the stage. And we're also going to be calling Pule Mlula to join us here. And we also have Silvershan Chetar to also join us in this panel. And the topic of this discussion will be sector deep dive, investing in high innovation-led areas such as agri-tech, mining, and manufacturing. And we also have Dineo Singala. Let's give an applause to Dineo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lisimadio. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. From your program director to now your moderator, that's how we transition things here. But like, again, this is where I love it even much more. Truly, truly, thank you for your ears. Now, as we are diving into a very, very, very critical one, I don't know, how many of you are aware of the G20? Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And most of you, I believe you have attended it, right? Who could afford it? Okay. Before I can get more into, deep things, as they've said it, like, we are going into the diving sector of the entrepreneurship. I will, of course, thank you so much for joining me, my special guests. Looking forward to this powerful session. Let me allow them to introduce themselves to you and tell us exactly who they are and really what they are bringing us. Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're so sweet. Gentlemen, just before. Okay, no, it's fine. Batsungma dume dume bagolo. And I think as my late grandfather would have it, it's only fitting. Nakalina ke Mema Skhala. And Kaskharuna re reng ka se nne lolo lolo, and I hope to not take too much of your time, but to introduce myself, Dineo Skhala. And sure, where do we start? How much time do we have? Okay. Let me just scan the room, just see how we're doing. Perhaps we can just start with hands up. How many of us know, maybe give me numbers, throw out a number, percentage, right, of AI research that is dedicated to Africa? Let's just hear a number. Go wild. I'm okay. Go wild. 1%, 5%. I get a 5%. They're going once, going twice. 20. You're brave. 2. Are you going? Is anybody going higher? 90. You're brave. And to burst all of your bubbles, less than 1% of research dedicated to artificial intelligence is for the African context, the global south. And you can imagine when I say South Africa, how much of those numbers are dedicated to us. This is why I exist, and this is why UMCO AI exists, because maybe just show of hands, how many of us find data, Wi-Fi, internet connection expensive, steep, and just unaffordable as we mature? There we go. There we go. Some of us are privileged. It's okay. I'm not. Yeah. But that is why UMCO AI exists. So I am Chief Research and Development Officer over at UMCO AI. We are building the world's first ever national AI offline government system. That's who we are. That's what we do.
Well, that's a really powerful follow up on. But anyway, hi guys. I'm Sveshant Thamodharan Chetia. I'm the CEO from Zanzi Bytes. It's a micro investment and a consulting firm. We have a portfolio of 9 businesses and growing. 80% of our businesses we invest in are female entrepreneurs at any given time. We have a life cycle that we put into place in terms of how we invest and how we actually get conceptualization actually into market. We've just attended a 3-day hackathon with the University of Venda and the CSIR, and we're actually going to put those those top 3 ideas into studio and commercialization. So we don't just talk the talk, we actually walk the walk. We're only a micro investment fund because that's all the funds I can raise, and that's transparently the only reason why we couldn't be a bigger fund. But what we tend to do is cluster our investments, look at your risk, and actually give you clients instead of giving you money sometimes. Because some hate to break it to you, an investor is not the best way to market. It's actually a client.
Thank you so much. Seeing that I'm actually missing one here. I do not know if you guys have actually seen the Global Citizen. There was a talk here around, how we should be, as Africa, we are very powerful, especially rich to do with minerals. Did you see the Global Citizen that took place? And do you know the pledge that was actually happening? You do not know about the pledge that was actually happening, about our minister, Mr. Lamola, talking about it, that we will be having our raw materials not just, being exported, but like there will be, make sure that they are being taken care of in our country within before they could be imported. Have you not seen that? For that, I think I would like to call some of our great minds here, particularly Mr. Tinashe Basari. Please join us here at the front. Kindly, quickly, sir, please. From here, then, from your idea, I think touch base, because I've seen, and I've seen your profile, I've seen what you are doing amazingly so. But what has really inspired you behind, the latter? What has inspired you becoming, with the idea of where you are, and with that being said, like behind it?
I think let's start in this space. So there are very few investment funds in Africa for African businesses currently, and there's none run by youth. So I'm only 30 years old. And what we've done is our consulting team and our investment team are all youth orientated as well. I wanted to get into the space because you don't need billions of dollars to invest into the next generation. What you actually need is an actual plan and clientele that get you into market, right? The biggest problem is that we face here is that we have phenomenal ideas on the continent, and especially in South Africa, but we don't know how to actually get it into market access. And how we actually commercialize those projects is where I become a very key partner in it. Either via our network book or the ability to get you cross-border or into a European market. The difficulty lies in that you think that requires cash. What it actually requires is your concept being approved and one big corporate buying into it that can finance a lot of your business over the next 3 years. I'll give you a very typical example. We invested in an individual about 2 years ago. We found her in a container. She was manufacturing her own A4 copy paper being imported from China at the time. But the important thing and what we did is that we scaled her from that point of perspective into a fully fledged manufacturing plant now, out here in City Deep, making her own copy paper. So it is possible, and it doesn't require tons of cash injection. What it requires is a system of growth that gets you to the input of goal. I thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to work around it, based on what you're saying, and then coming back to you. But I'm going to the other side first because I want to do integration first. I'm strictly on time abiding. I'm looking at this. Alrighty, Mr. Tinashe, do you mind actually giving us a little bit of expanding? I want us, ladies and gentlemen, to look into the critical of our mining. Our mining sector, it's the heartbeat of Africa, and I believe that it's very important that the youth be knowledgeable of this and they actually take action for them to know of this kind. All right, that's why I bring it at the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so unfortunate that I was ambushed to be on this panel. And you see, when you hold a microphone, it's the most dangerous weapon any individual can hold. Because what you say can make or break the ones that are listening. So going back to the question that you've asked, is particularly when you talk about minerals, I have a different thinking about minerals that are below the earth's surface. Most of the time you hear people saying, our minerals, our gold, our chrome, so and so. But the same land that you find these minerals beneath, we share it with animals. You never hear animals saying our gold, but it's human beings. Then when you look at minerals, these are the creators' endowments. They have no value without human effort. So I think we need to have that open, frank, and honest conversation in as far as minerals are concerned. Because if we were to just look around the room, you'll be shocked just to find out that maybe where you come from back home, the land that you occupy, there are minerals undisturbed. But when someone invests in identifying where those minerals are, you start complaining that they are our minerals. Let me just stop there so that we broaden this conversation.
Thank you so much. So, my lady here, we are speaking about AI, isn't it? AI is the language of today in all aspects. Look, we're looking into AI right now. It might even be replacing human capital, but that is important. That is the line that we need not to draw. But yeah. Uh, Based on what those two gentlemen have done or they're actually putting at the forefront right now, how do you think that we can be able to incorporate AI with this? I'm looking at this, from the direction of like, I do not know if you do know the commodities with the AI, obviously, like, the blue chain, that's where we are actually going at the direction. And it's a very huge market within the Africa at this moment. This is why relatively you're able to see many of the, people looking into Africa right now. My lady, please cover that for me. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to try and not, extend it into a mouthful, but I think when we look at industries like mining, when we look at industries like funding, we got to chat after this. I think I said when I started, less than 1% of the research is dedicated to African artificial intelligence. So to contextualize what I meant by that and to add on to Tata Tinashe's just message around the ownership of minerals and just that discourse around it. Sure. So as far as AI is concerned and, the look into it, particularly in Africa, here's the interest. Because I said less than 1% of research is dedicated to our African context, I mean, when our government nationals need help and, they're opening also their devices and going into AI tools to receive help, this is usually Meta, this is usually GPT, this is DeepSeek now, and all of these, resources. What happens to the information and the details they are inputting into those systems? When our mayors are going, ish, the kids from this institution, not the high school institution. I heard there was a UJ is a high school, none of my business. But because that is the details and the information that our leaders are inputting into these systems. When we move on to war and just those discourses, how predictable are we to the West, to the global North? Because to be quite honest, if we own less than 1%, how many steps ahead of us are there? And those are the scary truths. This is why when we built UMCO, and to just clarify something here, we built UMCO and we name it Umkhonto Wesizwe. The one major question we're receiving right now is, hey, yeah, you guys are brave. You are affiliating with the MK party. Incorrect. Because again, when we talk about information and accessing that information, what we miss is Umkhonto Wesizwe long existed before that as the first Black military that was started by Nelson Mandela. So when we contextualize and we give details and we give the nuances, the technicalities that are necessary when we move in industries like mining, in industries particularly like AI, which grows at a rapid pace. It's not like mining where, the mineral is there, we need to source the machinery to get it out, and this takes time and everything. AI, as people don't know most of the time is this is something that was generated from the 60s. So it's even in our team, we're working with an individual. We're all, fun fact, less than 25 in our team. Yet he has 13 years of AI experience. That's how long it's been around. But because it's been so unexplored in other countries like your Germanys, like your African countries, because of linguistic context, again, that context that we need to move around and to sell the idea, even to our own, it makes it really quite the conversation to have as far as context is concerned. I think for me, that covers it. So it is really about the ownership of that. It is ownership of now we know these are the statistics and this is the reality. How do we then move about that? Whether in mining, whether in AI, in any other relevant industry.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, this is not going to be taking too long. I do not know if you may have any question for our mister here because he needs to get somewhere. Evidently, you know, we deal with businessman, businesswoman. They have to get to be somewhere. Anyone with any question before I can release him? Quickly, one.
Okay, so we're taking only 2 questions. Thank you.
Hi, is it Salvation? Correct. All right. So, just out of interest, how does one engage with you, and where do we find you in order to collaborate? Because we all gonna take your number here. We all want to scale our ideas, so you're the person that bridges that gap.
So one of the easiest way to get hold of me is looking up on LinkedIn. I'll take my administrator's number, and he'll get you a session, and we can take and have a conversation from there. It's pretty simple. We only invest in a total of 8 businesses per year, just depending on how much income we have. We're completely transparent about that. If we don't have the funds, we try to connect you with a bigger investor than us, so you can actually get your business somewhere. We have an early stage invested in about 2 years now. Just so you're aware, we normally find you at what we call scaling or micro size, and then take you to the next point with your own cash flow sometimes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, that was answered.
Oh, that was your question as well.
Yeah.
Anyone else with a different question, not for numbers or emails? Do you have a question? For numbers, emails? There's a question. Okay. Please, if you want the phone number, LinkedIn.
Samona Nonke, my name is Salbon Plose. My question is for you, gentlemen. Just out of curiosity, why specifically females and not males?
So I fundamentally, when I first started, my first investment was a female entrepreneur. And I found that the biggest gap was female entrepreneurship into the market, right? I want to bridge that gap quite heavily. We were heavily dependent on that because a lot of other portfolio investments are actually ignoring female investments. The way you scale an investment is 3 ways. You look at the person, the emotional context, and the actual feasibility of the idea. And women are actually discounted a lot more in terms of human behavior. A lot of micro investors like myself play the person more than the business. I'm willing to let you fail at your first idea if I know you're going to create a lot more, right? But the issue is, are they willing to deal with the emotional context of that? It's frowned upon in our industry, but a lot more female investments are seen as a lot more of an emotional investment. And we try to keep things very professional about that. Your idea is your idea. This is what you're trying to achieve. In 2 to 3 years, this is our off-put point. We really want to focus. I want 100% of our portfolio to be female investments in the next coming years. It's almost impossible, but that's where our target is. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think that is just the button. Okay, he is asking to be released. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for having me. Yeah. Sorry. Well, yeah, unfortunately, we are just coming right at the closure of our day 2. I hope, yeah, oh, it has been, oh, this one specifically. Thank you so much for your participation. Appreciate your presence, appreciate your remarks. Very much honored. Mr. Lucy, thank you.
Can we have a round of applause for the panelists? One more, please. And can they have a picture, even though the other gentleman
Can we
has left?
please have another, the picture, the portrait?
Tando, could you help with the picture, please, if you can? Thank you. So now I'll be calling up on the stage Professor Jacob Mati, the Deputy Director of CAPSI and Associate Professor at Wits Business School. Please, you can join me on the stage if you're here. And we're going to have, he's going to be joined by Kunda Kwashe Shamu, the President and Founder of Daraja. You're also going to be joined by Oswald Jumira, the CEO of Liquid C2. Is going to be joined by Rumbi Muniarazi, the author and he also is a financial executive. Charles Farirai, president and co-founder of Daraja, and Ruvimbo Nyamambi, who is a youth mentor and advocate and project manager. Can we give a round of applause to them?
I'll need that. I'll need that. Thank you. All right. Cheers. All right. Good afternoon, distinguished guests and the exceptional young leaders, as well as the partners that are gathered with us today. All protocol observed. My name is Charles Farirai, Vice President of Daraja Impact Hub and an associate at CAPSI, specializing in digital platforms development, artificial intelligence, and data engineering. It is a privilege to be part of the Africa Youth Forward Summit here at the Wits Business School, a place known for nurturing Africa's next generation of thinkers, leaders, and innovators. Our session this afternoon focuses on a theme closely linked to my work at Daraja and at CAPSI, youth mentorship. Unlocking the most powerful workforce in Africa through structured mentorship programs. Daraja Impact Hub was created with one mission, that is to connect mentors and mentees through structured and transformative relationships. Across the continent, young people possess immense potential, but many lack the guidance and confidence and networks required to navigate their personal, academic, and professional journeys. Daraja bridges this gap. This work aligns directly with the research we are undertaking at CAPSI on dignified and fulfilling work for youth. Our findings show that dignified work is not only about employment or earnings, it's about identity, belonging, growth, and support systems. Mentorship is one of the strongest mechanisms for creating these conditions. With Daraja, we are putting this research into practice by preparing young people for meaningful and purpose-driven work. Before we move into our panel discussion, I would like us to share a short video that highlights our journey so far. Thank you. Now I'd
Blessing
like-
Nete. I'm 20 years old. I'm a Zimbabwean, originally from the city of Mutare, and I'm studying here at the University of Zimbabwe, majoring in accounting and finance.
I'm Makanaka Isheganyani, currently studying electrical and electronic engineering at the University of Zimbabwe.
I got involved with Daraja back when I was doing my community service. I got referred to the program by the headmaster of the school that I was carrying out my community service at. And I remember the very same day I signed up, and moments after I
got access to the Daraja Impact Hub through the founder of this amazing program, Kudakwashe Shamu, who reached out and encouraged me to join.
And I just fell in love with what Daraja stood for. I found it to be a safe space for growth and learning. And yeah, I love the community and the team and all.
I would recommend Daraja Impact Hub to anyone, any day, and at any time, because apart from professional development, it offers one with the confidence and the emotional support that will drive that passion and fuel that passion into a reality.
I would definitely recommend Daraja to any young person out there. Because listen, we are living in a world full of misleading information that is very easy to lose track of who you are, what you want to do, and basically how you can get to a place you want to be. So Daraja helps you find that direction, the accountability, and on top of that, it helps you with a community that genuinely wants to see you succeed in life.
To the future mentees out there, this is an opportunity that will change you. And to the future mentors out there, do not hesitate to start. Daraja will walk you through. Please join and change young lives for the better.
All right, thank you. And now I'd like to hand over to our moderator, Abby. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abby, and I'll be moderating this panel discussion today. Our focus is on youth mentorship, what works, what needs to change, and how mentorship can unlock real opportunities for young people across Africa. I'm pleased to be joined by an exceptional panel with diverse experience across leadership, finance, technology, education, and youth development. We have Kuda Shamu, founder and president of Daraja Impact Hub, Charles Fairai, an educator and professional working at the intersection of AI and learning. And lastly, Ruwimbo Nyamambi, a project management professional committed to youth mentorship. Thank you all for being here. My first question is directed to Kudakwashe. As the founder and president of Daraja, what is Daraja Impact Hub and what core mission is it driving? Could you walk us through the structure of the program and how it supports young people through each stage of their development journey?
Thank you, Abby, and thanks everybody for sticking around very late in the day. So the Daraja Impact Hub is a culturally attuned mentorship program. It's a global mentorship program aiming to tap into the global African talent, those who've walked that path before, with at least 10 years of experience in the field of study, and matching them with aspiring young Africans like you guys in this room. So what we are trying to do is to, number one, respond to the opportunity gap that exists, and number two, spotlight the talent that we as Africans have globally. So as you saw from the video, we did launch this pilot in Australia, and we've gone globally with it as well. So places like the UK, Canada, and the US, and now we're here on the mother continent to actually tap into the youngsters here and match them with global mentors of an African heritage as well, which makes our program a culturally attuned mentorship program, meaning that it's African people globally providing that guidance to other African aspiring young Africans. In terms of what our mission is, again, spotlighting the talent, closing that gap, and making sure that we tap into the networks that exist already. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. The networks are already there. And statistics say that you can only influence up to 15%. The other 85% is done through networking, so tapping into each other's network. If you don't have something that's structured, it's going to be hard to even tap into, to realize the full potential, because you don't know these people, you don't know where they are. But if it's structured, it's using the platform that we have, you can actually tap into a wider audience. So in terms of the structure, Abby, yeah, it's a 9-month program. So we've got a platform. It works like a dating site kind of thing, where the mentor creates their profile and the mentee creates their profile. They get matched and they go on a structured mentorship program for 9 months. If they want to continue that relationship after 9 months, they can say so. As we, as the program coordinators, we can make sure that that happens. But yeah, there's a platform that we use that allows mentees to set their goals, so realistic goals. And the role of the mentor is to actually make sure that those goals are getting achieved. Are they smart goals? Are they realistic? And are they timely and stuff like that? But in a nutshell, that's why we exist. So basically, a culturally attuned mentorship program. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you for setting that foundation, Kada. Our next question is directed to Ruimbo Nyamambi. Ruimbo, many young people struggle with confidence, direction, or access to the right networks. What practical steps can youth take today to position themselves for meaningful mentorship opportunities that truly transform their careers and lives?
Okay, thank you for that question, Abby. Good afternoon to you all. I think, yeah, those 3 big hurdles are what's important to the youth to make sure that they cross those or jump over those hurdles. Direction, access to network, and self-confidence. Now, how do you improve on yourself in those 3 aspects? I think it all starts with having a direction for yourself. You have to look inside. You need to know what your true strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what skills you've got, and identify the skills gaps between where you are now and what you aspire to be. I think everyone in this room is very ambitious and they've got somewhere they want to go, the person who they wish to be in the next 5, 10 years. You've got to start and say, what am I missing now? And the next thing would obviously be create a career plan or a learning plan for yourselves. Once you sort of got that implemented, and especially written down somewhere where you can see it and read it night and day, it becomes like your Bible. You start to see opportunities aligned to what you're planning on achieving, and everything else becomes noise, and you can filter that out. So once you sort of got a direction of where you want to go, you sort of obviously have to put some goals towards your career with some milestones. And once you build on that with the help of a mentor, like we all do at Daraja, our main aim is to help mentees put their career plan and all the activities that they need to achieve to get to where they are. And that sort of helps you as an individual become more confident in what you're trying to achieve because you've got a plan. You've got something that you're working towards, and you can actually block off any noise and filter that out. How else can you improve in your confidence? Number one, obviously, join the Raja Hub, get a mentor. People have been there, done that, 10 years experience under the belt. They know what works, what doesn't work. Why not teach it to someone else? We always say the best way to learn something is obviously to, pick a topic, study it, but how do you know you've actually learned it? Teach it to someone else. If they understand it, then you've made sure you've also learned. Because if they don't understand it, then probably you didn't catch the principles. So that's how you can also build your confidence. Give back to the community. What you've learned, teach others. Improve on your own skill as well by giving back to others. In terms of building or getting more access to networks, I think most of you in this room have already ticked one box: attend summits, attend seminars, webinars. But don't just attend. Greet the person next to you. Get a business card. Connect on LinkedIn. You never know where your paths might lead in the future. So don't leave this room here without having, connected with at least 2 or 3 people you didn't come in here with. Also, don't underestimate the power of your peers. They're also connected to other networks that you don't see. So I know sometimes in the corporate world, we always see our peers as competition and it's cutthroat, but those peers actually hold a network that you might need to tap into. Don't underestimate the power of that. I think those are a few tips and hints that I could probably share to the young ones in here. I think there was a couple of high school students in here. Get a mentor, let them help you put together a career plan. If it's something you want to get a job, I know some others said, don't get a job, go straight into business. That's how you can be liberated. But get someone to mentor you through all of those processes. Don't try to do it yourself. You can, but it'll just take longer. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Rimbo, for those practical insights. Next question is directed to Charles Farirai. Charles, with AI becoming deeply integrated into learning and professional development, what role do teachers, mentors, and professional educators still play? How can they leverage AI to strengthen rather than replace human-centered mentorship?
Thank you, Abby, for the question. And look, I suppose artificial intelligence is the hot topic at the moment. But as it pertains to learning and education, I think it probably started with the other simple technologies like YouTube or Udemy, or even the learning resources that you can find for free on the internet. You can basically learn any kind of hard skill or any kind of information that you might want pertaining to whatever subject. That stuff is now readily available. And now with AI, what we are looking at now is things like Notebook LM. It can create custom tutorials for you in a way that that is easiest for you to learn and stuff like that. So in terms of learning hard skills and information, they are now things that can almost even replace a human expert who's skilled in teaching, right? But where I find that the human element is still very important, right? Is those aspects such as the context that you get from going through certain things within, be it your academic journey or your professional journey. And I think those remain very pivotal and important as an educator, to be able to connect, to have that human connection with the people that you're teaching. And I think from the educator side, I also would encourage them to make use of AI and even encourage students to use AI to learn. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that perspective, Charles. Before we move to closing remarks, we'd like to open the floor to the audience. However, it'll only be 1 or 2 questions because of the time. Yeah, so it's now open to the audience if anyone has a question.
Okay, so I'm going to take one here, and maybe there's a questions here? No questions here? Okay, thank you for being kind.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Itumeleng Lepota. I run an organization called the African Development Hub. So my purpose for coming here was hoping to meet with collaborators. I work at the intersection of the creative sector, tourism, and indigenous material. So within the hub, we have created a cultural exchange program. Now, this focuses solely on building the African identity. And I've been listening to the conversations that we've been this morning, and I'm realizing that we're hovering over the African problem. We're talking about Africa's development as if the solutions are going to come from outside. Umama Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma mentioned that the future is African, the future is here. And if we really believe in the development of Africa, we ought to look for solutions here at home. And we've got to use ancient wisdom. She mentioned that we have pioneered the mining sector. We have pioneered even fashion. There are indigenous materials and fibers that are within our borders that we could use and leverage to move forward in the fabric sector, material sector, and we're not developing those, right? So my thing is, if we are really serious about African development, we then ought to look at what did our ancestors do, right? Because within the hub, we have actually created a program that actually takes people through the 9 provinces of the country, looking at the flora and fauna of the country, and then helping people then identify those various materials to then create enterprise out of. To say, what can I use sisal fiber for? What can I use hemp fiber for? And then we move over to some of the barriers then that inhibit young entrepreneurs from entering sectors. I think the gentleman that offered me the mic now mentioned monopoly capital. And we had a slight conversation earlier about what would you do if you're a president, and we're speaking about like little things. But the truth is, South Africa was founded, and what we're looking at right now in terms of education, and this goes over some of the panels that we had. The issues that we're seeing right now with the youth is that they were raised by people who were born into the apartheid system, and the people that engineered and the architectures of apartheid, one of them being Verwoerd. That guy was a psychologist. He had a PhD in psychology. So if we are to revolutionize the idea of development within South Africa, if we're talking about South Africa alone, then we look at what did they do to make us see ourselves the way that we do, because that is identity politics. That guy engineered a system that helps you see yourself as inferior. It's not that we're locked out of systems alone. It's also the engineering of how you see yourself. So we're looking at identity politics. Let's go back to our cultures. Why do we think that our culture is inferior? Why do I think that my ancestors are inferior? Those kinds of things are things that we need to be looking at in terms of innovation. We're talking green economy. That's how our ancestors lived, the way they built. People are discovering now that terracotta tones and all of these building materials are new age stuff. That's how we lived. That's how our ancestors lived. As part of the hub, we also showcase that African architecture. What does it look like to live in harmony with the environment? These things are not new to Africa. These things are part of who we are. When we say Ubuntu, I am because you are, it also means that we were living one with the environment. How I plant my food, how I grow my food, how I work. That was written into the African philosophy. So my question would be, what is it that every single person that came on the panel, what is it that you were doing to go back to where we come from, using ancient wisdom and advancing that, making African knowledge and African philosophy fashionable? Because we're talking about international partners and all of that, we're always going to play a catch-up game if our standard is the West. But they are going back to where we come from. Why not platform those things?
Okay, so one last, and then the panel maybe may respond to it.
Good day, everyone. My name is Cleopatra Tlapolosa. I run Khotalang Dance Academy in Soweto, Dobsonville. I want to inquire, how does one become part of the mentorship program? Because I believe there's more to learn from my side as well. And then is it remote, or do you meet virtual? Do you meet in person with your mentor? And then are there any cost implications to be part of this program? Thank you.
Okay, back to you, moderator.
Thanks for the questions. I think I'll start with you because that's the low-hanging fruit. So there are no cost implications. These are absolutely free. There's a platform that we use to match people. So it's called Mentor Loop. So if you express your interests, once you express your interest, we'll send you the invitation to actually log in and apply for the program. If, as per your question as to do you meet in person or virtually, it's up to you and your mentor. If your mentor is domiciled in South Africa, if they want to meet in person, so you can organize that. If not, if your mentor is in Durban, for example, and you're in Joburg, you know, it's probably going to be better to leverage the tools that we have, so the app. So I recommend everybody who is keen to be mentored or to tap into the mentorship community that we are creating to express your interest, and we'll send that. Just a quick comment from me before I pass on to the other guys if they have any comments, but to answer your question as well. I think for us, what we are doing to go back to the roots, as per your comments, is to try and tap into the global African community. So we know that wisdom is wisdom regardless of where they are. So that's why we're trying to create a global platform where we go to where they are now, because you cannot stop people from traveling these days. The globe has become a village. So whether you're an African in London, you're an African in Australia, you're an African in Zimbabwe, it doesn't matter. You're still an African. You still have that knowledge. So that's why we're trying to tap into that so that that guidance can be passed on. The same way those stories from Gogo, my mom is here today, the same stories that mom would pass on to us orally, we are doing that using the platforms, the tools that we have in the 21st century, including the apps. So that's my sort of comment as to what we're doing to go back. We are still using the same things, oral communication, obviously bundled with other forms of communication, and leveraging the tools that we have to tap into that African wisdom wherever it is. And that's my comments. Do you have any comments, please?
Thank you for that. This brings us to the close of our panel discussion. I'd like to invite Kuda Shamu, founder and president of Daraja Impact Hub, to deliver the closing remarks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for sticking out this late. But yeah, it's been an honor to be part of this summit. I guess I'll be quick and snappy due to time, but I think call to action really is to go back to that. Is for people to take their phones out and really scan, express your interest for the program. We have seen great impact already. We have seen opportunities being made. We have seen people tapping into global networks that they never thought they would. We actually have a lot of examples of the youth and those opportunity gaps getting closed. So if you're interested in obtaining a mentor, please sign up, scan your phone, and then we'll be able to match you with someone who is African, who understands you the same way as you understand yourself, because they're also African. But apart from that, in the interest of time, thank you so much for having us and allowing us to be part of this program. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Can we give another round of applause to the panelists? Please, could you stand up and have a quick picture? I would just invite the photographer to take a very nice picture of you smiling, cheese or popcorn, I don't know. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to all of us for standing until this time. We apologize for pushing you until 4, but it's I think it was worth it, wasn't it? Thank you for being with us. The lady that mentioned about the constructions and everything, please, you can see me later after this meeting, so we can engage and see how we can collaborate. But yeah, tomorrow is our last day, which is the day 3, and we're going to be having a very important session as well on the creative industry that includes your fashion, your film, your media. So an amazing, amazing panelists will be here. Please do not get tired of us. come tomorrow. I'll be happy to see your faces again, take pictures with all of you, and invite a friend to join you tomorrow. So please, give yourselves a round of applause. And I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.